Okay, what do you got that you think is such a good question?
I've got a question here. What's the difference between the Shiite and the Sunni Muslim? Why are the Shiite Muslims trying to kill Palestinian Muslims in Baghdad? I thought all Muslims stood together. That's from Tina in Lubbock.
Well, the Shia started from what is called Al-Khawarij, which people who dissented about the election of Abu Bakr, who is the second Khalifa of Islam. When Muhammad passed away, the Prophet of Islam,
his father-in-law.
That's right, his father-in-law. His father-in-law took the mantle after that, and the Shia believe that Ali, his nephew, was supposed to take the mantle. Then the Sunni killed the two sons of Ali, and that's what created the Shia movement. Hassan and Hussein, the two sons of Ali that were killed.
By the way, tell where he was killed. They were killed.
They were killed in Karbala,
That's Iraq.
In Iraq. And so you had that movement start from Iraq and go all the way to Iran.
So that's been going on since 600 or 700 BC or AD, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So you have these two horns of Islam, you know, two movements, but yet they support each other, and yet they don't mind blowing each other's mosques. So you have the Golden Dome, one of the most glorious mosques for the Shia, was blown up just last month.
Right.
And this is why I always argue, which is the point I disagree with Mr. Hunt, that the harlot of Babylon is not Rome, it is Mecca. I think it's Mecca. And people argue with me, they say, well, you know, are you saying the beast will destroy the harlot, which is the city? Remember, the harlot is a city. That's why he would agree with me, it's a city. He says it's Rome, I say it's Mecca. How could the Catholics destroy the Vatican? And my argument is, no, it's unusual. What's usual is that the Muslims will destroy their holy sites. And here's the evidence right there. The Muslims will end up destroying Mecca. The Shia could destroy Mecca. You know. As a matter of fact, Saddam Hussein sent Scud missiles over Saudi Arabia. That's the holiest place for Islam. Al-Hajjaj
They've destroyed the Kaaba several
twice.
times. Yeah,
Yes, twice.
fought against it.
Al-Hajjaj bin Yusuf al-Thaqafi catapulted it before cannons. And when they had cannons under the Ottoman Empire, they missiled the Al-Kaaba and they destroyed it. So it's not unusual for Muslims to destroy their most holy sites. This is why I believe that Islam is the harlot that's spoken of in Revelation. I have hundreds of reasons.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I disagree. But anyway, it's rather, we won't get into that.
Why not?
You know, this is, well, there are 14 identifying characteristics there in Revelation 17. And her colors are purple and scarlet. This is a woman who has committed fornication with the kings of the earth. I don't think that...
The woman is a city.
Yeah, that's right. The city has committed fornication with the kings of the earth. I don't think that the Bible would call it fornication for...
It's the kings of the earth commits fornication with a woman.
That's right, but you'd have to be a religious entity. And when did the kings of the earth ever join in unholy alliances with Mecca? Well,
they're joining in right now. It's called the wine of her fornication.
Yeah.
All the kings of the earth commits harlotry with her for the abundance of her delicacies. Now, what is Rome given as an abundance of a delicacy that is a sort of a wine that makes the earth drunk, that all the earth is drunk, intoxicated, and the merchants of the earth have waxed rich as a result? I mean, when did industrialization even start? After the discovery of the oil. Plus, that woman has to burn forever, so it has to have oil. And as a matter of fact, it's mentioned literally in the Old Testament. You're laughing. But read Isaiah chapter 34. It talks about Arabia. It talks about the destruction of Arabia. It says that its streams will gush forth petroleum. And it will burn forever. And it's, as a matter of fact, there is no mention of Rome being destroyed literally in all the Bible. There is mention several times of Arabia being destroyed in the Bible. So if you look at, if I ask you the question and says, show me where Rome is destroyed in the Bible, you will give me allegoric references. And if I say, show me, I can show you where Arabia is destroyed in the Bible, I will give you tons of literal references. Literal must interpret the allegory and not vice versa. This is hermeneutics, basic hermeneutics. So we have to look at the literal parts of the Bible. Jesus comes out of Edom with his garments with blood. And people tell me that the Muslim world will be destroyed before Jesus comes. Excuse me, why is he coming out of Edom, a Muslim country, in the Arab world, with his garments filled with blood? You mentioned Ezekiel 38. You believe it happens in Armageddon. Well, excuse me, it says, the earth will shake at my presence. Who are the people of Ezekiel 38? They're all Muslim. Every single country that is mentioned in the Bible, literally, that God destroys, is Muslim. Do I ignore all this data and I pay attention to quote?
Let me ask a question that goes back to what we were talking about with this war in Iraq. Do you agree that or disagree that we should get out of and just let the thing fight out itself?
Well, there's two issues. If I answer the first one, I'll be condemned and thrown out of the temple. I don't think removing Saddam Hussein was the right answer, because removing the dictators in the Middle East will always give credence to Muslim fundamentalist takeover, always. Now that we are in Iraq, I think going out of Iraq is extremely dangerous, because as soon as you go out, guess what? It's victory. And you've given them the confidence they've been looking for. Give you the best scenario is Afghanistan.
Same as when Israel pulled out of Lebanon.
Pulled out of Gaza.
And everywhere else.
And Gaza is the capital for who? Hamas. And you've given Hamas now the argument to say that they didn't give you Ramallah, they gave you Gaza because the Islamists are ruling in Gaza, and only by going back to Islamic fundamentalism, you'll be able to get that land back from the Jews. In Afghanistan, the same thing. We supposedly were fighting the communists. So what did we do? We supported and aided before the Taliban, these Muslim fundamentalists, the Mujahideen. And the Mujahideen got victory, and that's what they were looking for. They got that victory by going back to Islamic fundamentalism again. And we're thinking that democracy is the answer. See, we think like Americans, you know, that the world wants democracy, they want jobs, and they want this and that. And we ought to stop that kind of thinking. That's not the issue. You give them democracy, and they will elect a tyrant every single time. Democracy has never existed in 55 Muslim states. So what makes you think that all of a sudden democracy is going to work and flourish as easy as pie?
What do you think of that, Dave?
Well, I would agree with that. I think now that we're in there, it'd be the wrong thing to come out. We have to finish the job. But it's going to be like polishing something that you think is really a precious stone. It turns out to be sandstone. If all we've got is a fundamentalist Islamic dictator instead of a secular Islamic dictator, how are they going to solve this? On the other hand, the whole world can observe how these Muslims get along with one another. There's no peace. Let them fight it out. We can't let